Welcome to my YouTube channel. The Historical Wars. Today's I have a story of Wars of the Three Kingdoms, 184 AD to 280 AD. Let us see together. The waning years of the Eastern Han Dynasty in China were marked by internal corruption, economic collapse, and weakening imperial authority. This frailty reached a critical point in 184 AD with the outbreak of the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Led by Zhang Ju, a Taoist faith healer who preached the way of supreme peace, the movement was as much spiritual as it was political. His growing influence over the peasantry, who suffered under the weight of taxes and natural disasters, created a mass uprising that rapidly spread across the empire. Although the Han court managed to suppress the rebellion with the help of regional warlords, the central authority's inability to maintain peace had been exposed. The Yellow Turban Rebellion became the catalyst that plunged the Han Dynasty into fragmentation, giving rise to the complex series of wars and shifting allegiances now known as the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. The immediate aftermath of the rebellion saw powerful military leaders granted sweeping authority to restore order, among them Cao Cao, Yuan Shao, Liu Bei, and Sun Jian. These figures, nominally loyal to the emperor, began consolidating power in their respective regions. Cao Cao, an astute strategist and shrewd politician, quickly rose to prominence by rescuing the young Emperor Xian from the chaos and installing him as a puppet ruler under his own control. His move not only gave him legitimacy in the eyes of many but also allowed him to act under the guise of imperial authority as he expanded his control over northern China. Yuan Shao, a nobleman with prestigious lineage and a vast coalition, held sway over the northeastern regions. His wealth and influence made him a natural rival to Cao Cao, though internal division and indecisive leadership would ultimately undermine his position. Simultaneously, Liu Bei, a descendant of the Han royal family, began to amass his own forces, claiming to act in the name of restoring the Han Dynasty. His early years were marked by hardship and setbacks, yet his persistence and personal charisma earned him the loyalty of powerful allies like Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. In the south, Sun Jian, later succeeded by his son, Sun Ce, and then Sun Quan, laid the foundations of what would become the Eastern Wu Kingdom. As these figures carved out their spheres of influence, the Han Empire effectively ceased to function as a unified state. Instead, regional warlords governed independently, setting the stage for all-out civil war. The decisive turning point came with the Battle of Guandu in 200 AD, a clash between Cao Cao and Yuan Shao that would determine the fate of northern China. Despite being outnumbered, Cao Cao employed superior strategy, including a daring raid on Yuan Shao's supply lines, which led to a catastrophic defeat for his opponent. With Yuan Shao's death shortly thereafter and his sons embroiled in a succession conflict, Cao Cao quickly absorbed his territories. This consolidation gave him dominance over northern China and the largest military in the realm. Meanwhile, Liu Bei, who had initially allied with Yuan Shao, was forced to flee south after a series of defeats. His fortunes would later change with the rise of Zhuge Liang, a brilliant strategist who became his chief advisor. As Liu Bei wandered through southern China, he forged an alliance with Sun Quan, who had succeeded his brother in ruling over the Yangtze River region. Their coalition culminated in the legendary Battle of Red Cliffs around 208 AD. Facing a numerically superior force under Cao Cao, the alliance relied on naval warfare and guerrilla tactics. A critical fire attack orchestrated by strategist Zhou Yu decimated Cao Cao's fleet, halting his southern advance. This battle is widely regarded as one of the most significant in Chinese history, not only for its dramatic tactical elements but also for cementing the tripartite division of the empire. Following this, Liu Bei took control of the western region of Shu, while Sun Quan consolidated power in the east. Cao Cao retained the north, ruling through the emperor but in reality acting as a monarch in all but name. The formation of the Three Kingdoms, Wei under Cao Cao's successors, Shu under Liu Bei, and Wu under Sun Quan, marked the formal beginning of a new chapter in the civil wars. While each state professed legitimacy, only Wei controlled the emperor. In 220 AD, Cao Cao died, and his son Xiaopai forced Emperor Xian to abdicate, officially ending the Han Dynasty and founding the state of Wei. In response, Liu Bei declared himself Emperor of Shu in 221, claiming to continue the Han lineage. Sun Quan initially maintained a loose alliance with Wei but later declared independence as Emperor of Wu in 229. This tripartite division would persist for decades, characterized by fluctuating alliances, border skirmishes, and large-scale campaigns. One of the most celebrated yet tragic episodes of this era was Zhuge Liang's northern expeditions. After Liu Bei's death in 223 AD, the burden of leadership fell to his young son Liu Shan, with Zhuge Liang acting as regent and prime minister. Determined to restore the Han Dynasty by defeating Wei, Zhuge launched 5 major campaigns between 228 and 234. Despite brilliant logistical planning and strategic innovations, these expeditions ultimately failed due to lack of support, difficult terrain, and the resilience of Wei generals like Sima Yi. Zhuge Liang's death in 234 marked the end of Shu's most aggressive phase, though his legacy would endure as a symbol of loyalty and wisdom in Chinese culture. Meanwhile, internal stability in the Wu kingdom allowed it to flourish economically and culturally, though it also faced challenges from both Shu and Wei. The state of Wu had the advantage of natural defenses, the Yangtze River acting as a barrier, and a skilled navy. However, political infighting and succession disputes weakened its central authority over time. Similarly, the Wei state, though militarily dominant, was undermined by internal power struggles, particularly between the imperial family and the Sima clan. These tensions reached a breaking point in the mid-3rd century, culminating in the Sima family's gradual usurpation of power. In 249 AD, Sima Yi orchestrated a coup d'état known as the Incident at Gaoping Tombs, seizing control from his political rivals and solidifying his family's dominance over the Wei court. Over the following decades, his descendants Sima Shi and Sima Zhao continued to consolidate power, effectively turning the Wei emperor into a figurehead. By 265 AD, Sima Yan, son of Sima Zhao, forced the abdication of the last Wei emperor and established the Jin dynasty. With Wei now under their control, the Sima clan turned their attention toward unifying China by conquering the remaining 2 kingdoms. Shu was the first to fall. By 263 AD, the Jin dynasty launched a massive invasion into Shu territory. Despite valiant resistance from generals like Jiang Wei, the campaign ended with Liu Shan's surrender and the annexation of Shu into Jin. This marked a significant milestone in the path toward reunification, as one of the major players of the tripartite struggle had now been eliminated. The Jin leadership, however, was cautious in their approach to Wu, which remained well defended and geographically advantageous. It would take several more years of preparation and political maneuvering before a final campaign could be launched. In 280 AD, after extensive planning, the Jin dynasty commenced a coordinated multi-pronged assault on Wu. Their superior resources, combined with careful timing and the exploitation of Wu's internal discord, led to rapid victories. Sun Hao, the last emperor of Wu, surrendered without much resistance, bringing an end to nearly a century of civil war. China was once again unified under a single dynasty, though the peace would prove temporary. The legacy of the Three Kingdoms period would live on through legend, literature, and popular memory, most notably through the 14th century historical novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms by Luo Guanzhong, which immortalized its heroes in battles. Beyond China, the same time period saw parallel turbulence across the broader Eurasian continent. The Roman Empire was embroiled in its own crises, political assassinations, military revolts, and external invasions by Germanic tribes plagued the Western world. The Parthian Empire, based in Persia, was similarly engaged in both internal and external struggles, particularly with the Romans. Though the Three Kingdoms period is largely viewed through a Sinocentric lens, it occurred during a time when all 3 major Eurasian empires, Rome, Parthia, and Han, were undergoing profound transformations. These shifts would lay the groundwork for the next great chapters in global history, including the rise of the Sassanid Empire, the dominate in Rome, and eventually the spread of Islam and the fall of Rome. The consequences of the Three Kingdoms period in China were profound and lasting. Politically, it demonstrated the vulnerability of centralized empires to fragmentation and regionalism. Socially, it led to widespread displacement, economic dislocation, and a decline in agricultural productivity, particularly in war-torn regions. Yet the chaos also birthed enduring cultural achievements. The need for legitimization in a fractured world gave rise to new ideologies, sophisticated bureaucracy, and military innovations. It also fostered an era of legendary figures whose exploits would serve as ethical and moral exemplars for centuries. Figures like Zhuge Liang, Guan Yu, and Xiao Qiao became part of the Chinese cultural consciousness, celebrated not just for their tactical prowess but for their perceived virtues or vices. Moreover, the memory of the Three Kingdoms endured as a literary and artistic motif. shaping everything from imperial propaganda to modern media. The romance of the Three Kingdoms, though dramatized and fictionalized, synthesized historical events into a compelling narrative of loyalty, strategy, betrayal, and fate. The novel's themes resonated deeply within the Confucian framework of Chinese society, reinforcing ideals of loyalty to the state, filial piety, and moral rectitude. Even today, its characters are invoked in everyday speech, literature, video games, and political discourse. Militarily, the Three Kingdoms era offered countless lessons in logistics, strategy, and leadership. It was a crucible of innovation, from the use of fire ships at Red Cliffs to the application of psychological warfare and intelligence networks. The period also demonstrated the importance of supply chains, terrain knowledge, and civil administration in sustaining military campaigns. As such, it has been studied by generals and scholars alike, both in China and around the world. In conclusion, the Wars of the Three Kingdoms were more than a sequence of battles, they were a seismic event that reshaped the Chinese world. The era saw the fall of one of the greatest dynasties in history, the emergence of iconic leaders, and the redrawing of political boundaries. While the Jin dynasty succeeded in unifying the country, the cost of that unity was immense. The wars left scars on the land and people, but they also enriched the cultural and intellectual life of China. The lessons and legacies of this period continue to echo through the corridors of history, reminding us that even in times of chaos, greatness can arise from the ashes. Please subscribe my channel for more videos. A big bundle of thanks for watching.